Hey folks, James from Bud Minsu. Meatloaf is one of those dishes which is generally a family favourite. It's easy to cook on a Sunday, freeze and reuse throughout the week. In this video we're going to show you how to make a tasty and succulent healthy chicken meatloaf. You can also use turkey. Right after this. We're going to need 1 cup of diced onions, about 1 medium-sized onion, red or yellow will do, a half a cup of grated carrots, a half a cup of diced celery, 3/4 of a cup of dry wine. I personally always use a wine that I also like to drink. 2 pounds of ground chicken or turkey. I used the breasts here and then I minced them in the food processor. 6 slices of bacon, a half a cup of dried apricots, a half a cup of dried cranberries, 1 large egg lightly beaten, 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce, or you can also use soya sauce, 1 teaspoon of dried thyme, 1 teaspoon of dried oregano or parsley, a half a teaspoon of black pepper, and 2.5 teaspoons of kosher salt. And lastly, a little bit of butter to coat the loaf pan. Let's start by soaking the dried cranberries and apricots in warm water. This will plump them up and add moisture to the meatloaf, stopping it from drying out. They also add a really nice fruity flavour. Set them aside to soak for about 30 minutes. We are going to gently fry the onions. This removes the strong onion flavour and sweetens the onions by caramelising them slightly. We don't need to soften them too much, as you want to keep some of that texture and bite in there. Now you can add the grated or chopped carrots to the pan and the celery. Soften them slightly and season with a little bit of salt. You don't need to overcook them, as they will be cooked further in the oven. We can now add the white wine, making sure to cook off the alcohol, leaving the sweetness of the wine behind. You can of course leave this out if you wish. In a large bowl, we're going to mix all the ingredients together. Start with the cooled onions, carrots and celery mixture. Drain any liquid from the cranberries and apricots and add that to the mixture. These should be nice and plump at this stage. You can now whisk an egg. It doesn't have to be too fluffy, just whisked thoroughly. And add this to the mixture. Add the black pepper and the remaining salt. Add the thyme, oregano or parsley, Worcestershire sauce, or if you don't have any, you can also use soya sauce. And lastly, we're going to add in our ground, minced turkey or chicken. Now comes the fun part. Get your hands right in there and give this a really good mix. You could use a spatula, but where would the fun in that be? Now we want to butter or oil the loaf tin. You can also preheat the oven at this stage. If you don't want to use a loaf tin, simply spread the mixture about 3 centimeters deep onto a buttered or oiled parchment paper. You can also make an aluminium foil container to hold the mixture inside a baking tray. Add the mixture to the baking tray slowly. You don't want to press it in. Make sure it goes in gently and don't overwork it. Compacting it will create a hard meatloaf, a bit like a brick. Once you're done, place the bacon strips on top. We're using uncooked bacon here, but you could also use a cured bacon. This will work perfectly well too. Now we're going to bake it in a preheated oven for about 1 hour. If you have an instant read thermometer, you can always check by inserting the thermometer into the meatloaf. It should register 165 degrees Fahrenheit or 75 degrees Celsius. Once cooked through, remove the pan from the oven and let it sit for about 10 minutes before slicing. The juices are sweet and loaded with taste. Simply pour over the meat or add a little corn flour to thicken it into a gravy. You can also easily divide the meatloaf into serving portions. Add a little bit of the juices and freeze. This will keep for up to 5 months. Defrost and heat with the juices, which will be reabsorbed back into the meat. So as you can see, a meatloaf is a fairly simple dish to make. It can be a family favourite and it's easily frozen and reused later. If this is your first time here, we'd love you to subscribe, and every Thursday we have new healthy food videos. See you again next Thursday.